Welcome back to Our Life Beginnings and Always. Hopefully this is good. I got new headphones, so it's technically a new sound source that this is drawing from for sound. So hopefully the volumes are good. Let me know. I'm also a little stuffy. I don't know if it's allergies or if I have a cold or what's going on really. But I have to deal with this today. We're going to continue. Last time we did talks so I could identify Marina's sexuality. The last four here are actually pretty good. Aaron's is one I'm not looking forward to. I'm not doing happiness, sorry. I'll save happiness for last, even though it's kind of not that good. But it's just kind of, I don't know. 6, that's reflection. Okay. Yeah, that's what I've been wanting to do too. I was kind of hoping. I mean, I could just do these in the order I'd want to do them. I do this one, then this one, then this one, then this one. But we're doing reflection. We're gonna reflect. So we're starting right off in Cove's bedroom here. Lovely fish tank. Wait, did he move stuff around? No, it was always the same, right? I don't remember. The fish tank I feel like was maybe over here before. Boy, I don't remember at all. The bed's always pretty much been the same. His bed's cool. Same surfboard. But takes good care of it. What's he got in here? Like, those like bicycle pumps and parts and stuff. I wonder what he works on. Fancy new laptop. I'd really have to go back and compare this to like 13-year-old Cove's bed, but I feel like it's improved a lot. Anyway. After finishing breakfast at the Holden's house, you and Cove had retreated to his room to relax before starting the day in earnest. Or perhaps you would take it easy for the whole afternoon. So it's not one of those, like, it was so boring and you didn't know what to do. They just did a lot of that in the middle step for whatever reason. Is that what they think 13-year-olds are like? Neither of you had plans exactly, so you were free to do whatever came to mind. You were lazy in Cove's bed, you were fiddling with a Rubik's Cube we had around. You stood watching his coast. Yeah, she'd probably be watching the fish swim, honestly. There were tiny ones. She'd be interested in that one that she bought him, if it's still alive, I guess. I don't know if that would be still alive 5 years later. Fish don't necessarily have great lifespans. There were tiny ones darting away as soon as they came into view, and big ones drifting aimlessly along. You let your attention wander from one to the other, their movements luring you in a trance. Even with your mind elsewhere, you could tell Cove was similarly at ease. He had his chin propped up with one hand as he scrolled through his phone. Cove is just doom scrolling over here. A burst of laughter broke the silence, hooking your attention and bringing them back to the present. You looked at Cove for an explanation. His eyes, now crinkled with mirth, were still locked on his screen. Are you gonna let me in on the joke? This is just a pure well, not a pure Cove moment, but mostly a Cove moment. There's no like Marina and Terry, there's no Liz, there's no Bob's. It's just a pure Cove moment. It's a good one. He finally looked up at you, smirking. Dad scanned some old photos, you know. He drew a rectangle in the air with the phone-free hand. Printed out ones, back from when I was little. You texted it all to me last night, I guess. I've been checking them out. You look at your kitty photos and didn't tell me? Can I see? That's cool. You smiled, sound nice. That sounded nice. You sat up wide-eyed and hopefully... Can I see? Cove narrowed his eyes, smile still bent. I was gonna show you. I just wanted to look at it first to make sure there was nothing super embarrassing. You never know with my dad. He grimaced, envisaging. I've never heard that word before. What horrors his dad might unwittingly spring upon him. Oh boy.
I mean,
what if there's a photo of me getting potty trained or something? Exactly that. Yeah, I was about to say there's things the parents take pictures of that their kids, yeah, that are more for just them, right? He suppressed an empathic shudder and nodded. He laughed at Cove's kids' pictures are supposed to be embarrassing. It's part of the fun. Yep. He was wholly out on you, but your protest was of no use. Cove only cleared his throat nervously. The fear of his dad's well-meaning actions still lived large in his mind. That's kind of how I feel about those in real life, actually. Like, I have no problem showing my stupid kid photos to people. If it's not some random stranger, but, like, you know, people who know me and stuff. Anyway, before we forgot, I was laughing because I came across Halloween one from when I was 8, the year I was a zombie, remember? Hey, spooky season shoutouts, it's almost Halloween, guys. Yeah, I don't know. This This is kind of funny, though. I wish they wouldn't tease with this. He shook his head, grinning wryly while holding the phone out to you. I want a special, like, Halloween and Sunset Bird DLC where you get to play this moment. He walked over and took a seat in the bed next to him to get the full view. Yeah, this. I never even liked zombies. All I wanted was to show off my new scar. It needed to be something scary. I couldn't be a normal person who had a scar, according to my 8-year-old mind. Yeah, no, that's a cool idea. Freaking Zombie Cove, man. I was a zombie once, but it wasn't this good. It's just like his dad goes all out here. You've got a freaking pumpkin, and this is out in the freaking kitchen. I love it. My goodness. Cliff somehow came up with this. I was a little dork.
Right?
Dad really wanted to be useful, as usual. He came up with the idea of being an undead person. It was pretty good, huh? Man, I was so jealous of that look. Let's go with my costume. Yours was better. Liz was so grossed out, and Shiloh was terrified. I remember you getting lots of extra candy when adults realized the scar was real. It was hard seeing your arm like that. No. Liz was so grossed out, and Shiloh was terrified. He laughed still, clearly remembered their faces from when they saw Cove get up that night. Cove chuckled at your reply. I can't believe how much larger my scar used to be. Yeah, it's pretty intense there, right? He looked down at his arm, but stopped smiling on his face and traced what remained of a jagged line with his fingers, just as you've seen him do countless times before. Oh, I want to talk about this, because, like, I was just watching Saro talk about this. It wouldn't have any context to you, but I know that my pals watch these mostly. So, like, people do touch their scars a lot, like, even if they're not there. Like, I've seen that. Like, it's always, like, I had some burn scars for a little while on one of my arms. I still do, yeah. Yeah, and I'm always acknowledging that. I could see it. It's barely noticeable now. It's been, like, probably over 10 years since I've had that. Like, about Cove's time frame here. But I don't touch it, I guess. But I have in the past. Like, it's a reminder of something you went through. I could totally see why he would do that. And especially for, I mean, I know in this game it's kind of like they want to remind you. It's the same complaint I have about a lot of stuff in this game, where the characters don't necessarily act like time congruous. Like, there's 10 years between this moment and moment 8, but and when the 8-year-old moment, I mean. But the characters kind of act like they have, things just happen sometimes. Or they'll recall a memory and they'll be like, not this thing, because this makes sense, he's looking at photos and stuff, but they'll recall a memory and they'll be like, remember that thing that happened at one time? And it's like, man, I don't remember, like, 90% of the stuff, or more, 99% of the stuff that happened when I was 8. It's like, how do you... I guess these moments that are moments in this are supposed to be, like, the big things that happen in your life that are, like, really important and memorable, I guess. But the way they constantly recall them like there's something that just happened is kind of weird. It's very reality breaking. Anyway, I could stop ranting about that, but I do feel like him touching the scar is a little weird, but I still see people that do that, so... I don't know. I don't think it's, like, too far-fetched. His voice was playful when he spoke again. Look how tiny it is now. How am I gonna pretend to be tough without a big scar? Haha. Cove, you never fooled anyone. You were relieved that he accepted that he even liked the scar. It's definitely gonna blow your street cred. This looks cool. You better not do anything with stupid to get a new scar, you joked when you It's definitely gonna blow your street cred. I almost feel like she would... Oh, no. She has to say you've never fooled anyone, right? Derek thought I was tough. Wow. Yeah, thought. Yeah, Derek. Derek was like half your height. But now, if you met Derek today, I don't think he would think you're tough anymore, Cove. He's like twice your size now, spoiler alert. That's harsh, Marina. And the truth. You're right. I love you, Cove. You might be athletic, Cove, but you're still a cream puff. Cove smiled bashfully, pleased with his joke, and ducked his head to look away from you. His fingers were still tracing the scarred path of his skin. His joke? I made the joke. Cove didn't make a joke. I really do like happiness, even if it is kind of little these days. His voice was shy, but he was letting you in on a big, like he's letting you in on a big secret. I like yours too. Hey, yeah, she broke her leg when she was like a little kid. She had a big scar. That was a traumatic thing in her life. He beamed, touched by his earnestness. Aren't we a pair of tough cookies? Also, she has a scar on her head, too, from that part of that same incident. Like, this is like Marina jumping off a house, trying to like jump out her window or something like that. I'm serious. That's what I think of. Like, either that or she was doing something crazy, like climbing a tree or something, climbing a palm tree or something. Like, she would have been doing stupid stuff as a kid all the time. That's what I envisioned for Marina, or envisaged, I guess. Also, I have to comment on these shirts he's got folded over here. That's like, do people fold shirts like that? I hang all my collared shirts up. That's like when you buy them new, they come like that. Do people fold them, ever do that to store them, or are these just new shirts he hasn't like put on yet? I could see that with the way Cove is. Cove turned back to your face fully, finally letting go of the scar. He was happy that mark was part of him and clearly held meaning for Cove. Reaching over your later reassuring hand, his arm, the scar was. Could I touch your scar? Smell back at him. I just don't. It's a little intimate, I guess, but she would just, yeah. The scar had been there as long as you'd known Cove, though when you'd first met it had been concealed by that neon pink cast. This moment was about his scar.
So?
Want to hear how I managed to go jet skiing when I was 8? Yeah, we know he's jet skiing, but we don't know the whole story. You were initially stunned that he guessed what you were thinking, though. I guess, given the topic of conversation and the direction of your gaze, it was a natural conclusion to reach. This is a long one, by the way. This is going to be multiple videos. Not bothered by your reaction, Cove continued with a shrug. I don't mind telling you, it's nothing special. He rubbed the back of his neck, breathing sheepishly. Mostly it's just really dumb. Yeah, it's something Marina would have absolutely done, too. He nodded. That was something you'd like to hear more about, especially knowing that no lasting harm could come of it. Cove stared into the distance, lips apart as he read the story in his mind. So me and my dad and mom were at a party. I don't know if it was a casual get-together or a specific celebration. Hope it wasn't for something meaningful, considering how I ended it. He winced and banished a bashful smile. I will say that's the thing. When I was a kid, I did pay attention to what every party and stuff was about. I didn't, like, not know that stuff. That's something I would have remembered. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I went to a lot of family reunions and weddings and graduations, and I always knew what the parties were for. Anyway, my mom and dad were off doing stuff, talking to people, I guess. I was left with the other non-adults. Most of them were older than I was. Maybe all of them were. His brow furrowed as he tried to recall the dusty memories, then he shrugged again and continued. The older kids were taking turns on the jet skis. There weren't enough for everyone to ride at once, so in between turns they were hanging out on the shore. I was meant to just sit there with them and watch. Remembering when you first met Cove, you bet that he had been satisfied with that arrangement. You confirmed that suspicion. I was pretty unhappy. It wasn't a party for me, not when all I could do was look at all the other people have fun when I couldn't. The teens must have realized that, though I never hid when I was pouting as a kid. So, fun fact, when I was a kid, we actually went to the lake sometimes with my cousins, and they had a jet ski, or they rented one or something, and they offered us a ride when I was a little kid, probably about 8 or so. I did not want to do that. I was terrified of that. I didn't like things. I still don't like things that go fast, but I think I would ride something like that nowadays if someone offered, or if I had. I don't know if I'd drive it myself. I don't know if I'd have the wherewithal to feel like I could control that thing well enough to like not kill myself. But I'd ride on it if someone else was driving, or I'd like ride an inner tube behind a boat or something nowadays. I think I would enjoy that kind of stuff. I do enjoy thrill rides a little bit. I say that, but then I recently went to a carnival and was like, no, I'm not getting on any of that stuff. I don't want to. Mostly because I don't like stuff that like spins and flips and stuff. I don't want to throw up. I think I would ride roller coasters a little bit more than I would when I was a kid, though. Anyway. Only when you were a kid? Cove bristled with embarrassment. It looked pretty sulky to you. You could tease this man's a lot. I love it. Come on, let me finish the story. But it's the kind of person Marina is. She definitely would. Alright. But she could take it too, right? Cove sighed, letting go of the interruption, picking up where he left off.
Well,
basically, someone offered to let me ride. So, like, that's the one thing I do get, is that nobody, like, teases you back or calls you on your crap. I think. Like, I feel like Cove should. if anybody, because he's like your bestie and he's like around the same age and stuff. But nobody like my head canon is that Cove does call me on my crap a lot. Like when we're not just doing this stuff. This is also a weird thing. Like the way you are so close and buddy, and I know they have to fit this into like a summer and certain moments and stuff. But are you like this all the time with Cove? Like, is it always like this kind of like closeness all the time? Because that's the I'm not close. I was never that close with anybody where I was constantly hanging out with them, especially not someone of the I guess what you'd consider opposite gender. I don't know. I was way too small to drive it myself, but this older kid, they must have been at least 16, said I could sit in the front of them while they controlled the jet ski. I knew I wasn't supposed to do anything like that, still I figured my parents were doing whatever they wanted, so why couldn't I? So normally I think you'd also sit on the back and hold on to them. Instead of, I guess it'd be safer for a little kid to be like this, but I don't know, probably not. I nodded at the person. I remember the other teens helping mount the jet ski along with the one driving. We sped off into the water. Cole smiled wildly and wistfully. It was amazing at first. My hair was flying everywhere as we zoomed away from the shore. I love being out in the water like that. Hair, check. Me, check. Too bad it turned out that steering a jet ski was an 8-year-old that sat in your lap was harder than a bunch of kids figured it would be. The team tried their best, but they couldn't keep control for long. We got spun around and went right into the sand. He sucked in a deep breath. The other person wasn't hurt. Thankfully, they held onto the bars and stayed in their seat. I didn't. I was thrown at full speed into a rocky part of the shore near the dock. I must have tried to brace for impact or catch myself because my arm is what I mostly landed on. He looked out at the limb in question. You could see him visualizing the long heel injury. It was pretty torn up. After that, it's hazy for me. I got taken to the hospital. I didn't feel a lot of pain when it first happened. All I remember thinking about how I was covered in sand and the grains were uncomfortable. It gets everywhere. The sand was uncomfortable? Cove chuckled. I know, right? I did start feeling my arm later. It definitely hurt eventually. The doctor said my arm was broken along with being torn open. That's how I ended up getting my pink cast. He smiled nostalgically. That color, it seems just nice and happy at the time. It brightened the mood, so I picked it. That's a nice idea. That's a nice sentiment. How many little boys, 8-year-old boys, are gonna pick a pink cast? This is the kind of person Cove Holden is, and I love it. He picked it. He wasn't just given that, because it was all they had. I love that. I love Cove and his pink cast. He's such a good person. This character is such a good character. The smile faded. He finished the story with a sigh, his eyes downcast. I should go back to like the moments and rate like the best character and the worst character in every moment, like I did with the Shiloh moment, where like it was like Lizzie is the worst character. No, Shiloh is the worst character in that moment, but Lizzie is the second worst character. Probably the best character is probably just, I mean, Cove is the only other real character in that moment, so it's always Cove. Maybe Jeremy. I like Jeremy a lot in that moment, actually. Yeah, Jeremy might be the best character in that moment, actually. Don't get me wrong, I don't like Jeremy. I think he's a wonderful character. Like, if I was gonna play XOXO Droplets, it would probably be for Jeremy. I feel bad I did any of that. I hope whoever that teen was, they weren't traumatized by seeing a little kid go flying into the ground. They were just trying to do a nice thing. Now, it'd be interesting if they had a moment or like a cameo, because they love throwing people in for cameos, especially later and stuff. That this teen just showed up as like an adult and was like, oh yeah, I remember you. You're that little kid that did something that I rode the jet ski. And Cove threw his arms up to his side dramatically. Wish I knew who they were so I could give them a call and say I'm still in one piece. Yeah, it's like you could ask your dad, right? He might remember. But yeah, that's the full story. Probably not, but you know, it's worth a try. Maybe yeah, he probably has. I'm so glad you're both okay on the road. Long one. I'm really sorry that happened. I laughed at what a terrible idea it had been. How would you be so reckless? Yeah, I think she would actually be just like more empathic about this instead of just because Marina was this reckless. She was more reckless than even. That's the important thing. Cove sighed again, the regret clearly written on his face. It was a failure. That's just the truth. He smiled flatly. But to my credit, I've grown a lot since then. Wait. Cove's eyes went completely wide. Suddenly reinvigorated, he seized his phone and tapped away at the screen. What's up? I knew it. You weren't sure that he'd heard you, but he set his phone down and turned his face directly to you. His eyes were resolute, though the glow of the screen was no longer reflected in his eyes. They seemed to sparkle even brighter than before. Marina, we're adults. We can decide things for ourselves now. Well, this is the thing. You're not. No one who sees as 18 and says they're an adult is telling the truth. You're not an 21 I would buy, even if most 21-year-olds don't act like adults. But not at 18. This game likes to hammer on about that, and it's like, no, bro. Also, that's an extremely uncomfortable looking chair. Even more uncomfortable than the chair in our room, jeez. You only realize that now? Okay, where's this going? This can't be going anywhere good. I like where this is headed. The age requirement to rent a jet ski in California is 18. We could totally do it. Yeah, so there's that. That's one thing you can do, I guess. Yes. Let's use her adult powers for a jet skiing adventure. Cove beam pumped to the air in both fits. Definitely the action of someone mature enough to rent a vehicle. I love this. Alright. Within a moment, Cove had recovered and returned to his serious expression from before. I'll be careful, and I really want you to be the one to try again, please. His voice was soft and earnest. You could tell how much the request meant to him. He also knew enough to... I mean, you just dangled a jet ski in front of Marina. She's gonna want to do this too. You also knew him enough to know that he wasn't going to give up on this idea. Letting him go on his own wasn't an option. I mean, she also is gonna want to do it, and like, wouldn't have thought of that yet, so this is like genius. Of course I'll be there, I wouldn't miss it. I actually love jet skiing. I'd be interested in trying jet skiing. Yeah. I don't think she's gonna have ever gone jet skiing before. I don't think so. Because, like, she wouldn't have realized this either, that she would be... And I don't think the moms, being as responsible as they are, would have ever taken her jet skiing as a younger person. I can't see that being realistic. And I don't know what the rest of their family is like. Like, Lee's family, I guess, probably goes out in the water and does stuff, so maybe she would have went jet skiing with Lee. I don't know. I can't see that being something Lee would do either. So, we're probably just gonna be in this here. Cove perked up at once, a grin stretched wide across his face. He was practically bouncing in place. Let's go! Whoa, there was like a little giggle there. You got up worked as a team together, everything needed for the trip. Cove's other aquatic hobbies came in handy as he was quickly kitted out with everything he needed other than the jet skis themselves. He needed to run back home briefly, having dressed and prepared for a day that didn't involve jet skiing, but soon you were both ready and jumped into Cove's car. As you got in, you learned that Cove had used the brief time apart to locate a rental store on his phone. You caught his eye as you clicked through your seatbelts in place. Excited, you held out a hand. Cove slapped it in a high five before setting off. You and Cove soon arrived. Ah, yes. This is the pier that we go to in, one of the earlier moments. The mall, I think? At the end of the mall moment that I totally forgot happened. But this is what I was used to it being used for, was this moment. With all the people's little boats and stuff. The ocean was perfectly inviting today. The deep blue of the water glittered under the clear sky while the tide rolled in and out as leisure. Oh, yeah, that's what we get wetsuit code. I'm so excited for this. Yeah. I'm surprised it's yellow. Like, he could have had green or blue or one of his other big... I guess yellow might be one of his favorite colors. I thought green was his favorite color, though, clearly, you know. Or pink, even. She'd probably have a purple one, because they had those cool purple ones in the shop and early in the mall moment, too. You were just as pumped as he was. His excitement was adorable. He felt a little worried. He felt chill fear. No, you were just as pumped as he was. Seeing how pleased you were, Cove grinned at you. Hey, want to say hi to my dad while we're here? I've already texted my mom about the plan. He's working right now. You remembered how close his shop was. It wouldn't take long even by walking. So, like, it makes sense that his shop would be down here, but it's weird that says he's working right now, like that doesn't always happen. Do other people actually work for Cliff? I guess he must have employees and stuff, right? Yeah, let's go brighten this day with our cheering faces. Mr. Holden was a great guy, so you were happy to check in on him. Sorry. Thanks. Sorry it might be kind of awkward when he hears why we're here, but it should be alright. I mean, my parents forgave me a long time ago for this amazing stunt. I don't want to be scared off jet ski my whole life because of it. He wondered which of you Cove was attempting to reassure. It was only a short walk back to Dr. Mr. Holden's scuba shop. Yeah. Oh, no, there's different merchandise here now. Cove breezed in as familiar with the store as he was with his own home. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's even more stuff. Because I spent a lot of time talking about this earlier. Maybe it's the same, actually. Because why would they update the shop? Why would they make 2 different assets for this, just for different years? They might, though. These people are crazy. Because I feel like I would have commented all the brightly colored fins on the left side. Yeah, I guess there's not really... I thought there was different styles of wetsuits before. I feel like they would updated it for the modern era. Yeah. The place was quiet, empty aside from a couple of customers quietly browsing Cove's dad behind the counter. I really want to go to a shop like this someday, even though I don't intend to ever buy anything from it. Maybe fins. I like fins. Mr. Holden looked up, his friendly expression spreading into a grin while he saw who had just entered.
Hey!
Marina, hey sport. What brings you all the way out here? He cast an eye at the way you were dressed. Judging by how you're decked out, I'm guessing scuba diving? There's plenty here for that. What can I help you with? If I need it. I love this man. We've seen him shirtless when we were like 8. Cove chuckled, amused by how quickly his dad seized a favorite topic, or maybe it was how his dad always fell over himself trying to be useful. This man's right now is younger than me IRL. I've let that sink in for a second. Ah! Hi, Dad. We're not doing that this time. We sort of decided to go rent a couple of jet skis. The phrase jet skis set Mr. Holden's mouth in a taut line immediately. Jet skis. He echoed the words as his eyes instinctively darted to the scar on Cove's arm. That's when... Mr. Holden started to speak several times, each attempt quickly abandoned. Cove smiled encouragingly, trying not to add to his father's worries.
Don't worry about it.
I promise I'll be careful, and Marina will be there too. Yeah, can you promise Marina will be careful? No. We'll always look out for each other. Mr. Holden pinched his face back into an unconvincing smile.
Right.
You're a whole lot bigger now than you were back then. Heck, you can drive a car and everything. I'm sure you and Marina will have plenty of fun. The words still echoed out in his voice, barely concealed by the positive words, but Cove was buoyed by his father's support. Buoyed is one of those words I have a hard time saying. Geez, I did it. Yeah, well, we're all set. We only stopped by to say hi and let you know since we're over here. Mr. Holden beamed, obviously moved by his son's simple consideration. Wow, you're so thoughtful. Thanks for taking the time. Cove gave his dad a crooked smile, shaking his head bashfully. He'd long stopped fighting his dad's effusive praise, but that didn't mean he'd ever become good at accepting him. Mr. Holden simply laughed at his son's response. It'd be great if you could keep me in the loop while you're out there too. Just text me and let me know if it's going well, or anything. I will. His dad smiled more easily.
Great.
Oh, jeez.
Great.
I actually really like his voice actor a lot. Cove rubbed at his arm, causing Mr. Holden's eyes to momentarily twitch back to the childhood injury. I always voice him like he's a surfer dude, because that's the vibe I get from him, but he's kinda not. Also, I just recently realized that a lot of my clothing choices reflect Cliff Holden. Like, I have a whale print shirt, and I have lobster print shorts, and I like that kind of stuff, and I probably want to get more of it. I don't know if I'd ever rock like this that he's got going on here, but he has like lots of other stuff in his wardrobe, I'm sure, that has like animal sea stuff on it.
Bye.
We're gonna head out. See you later. Take care. Don't work too hard. Mr. Holden waved you off as you left the store. The pair of you headed back to the docks, walking side by side. What a nice visit with Cove's dad, right? We won't be doing that again this moment. After your feet hit the boards, Cove's piece fell. Glancing over, you saw him looking down over the water. That would have been unusual if his expression had... That wouldn't have been unusual if his expression hadn't been so somber. He wasn't geared up with anticipation or even nervousness, but with an uncharacteristic lethargy, something was weighing heavy on his mind. Cove, what's up? You're gonna walk right off into the sea if you don't pay attention. Huh? He blinked, startled by your interrupting his rumination.
Sorry.
He sighed. Though you'd torn his attention from the ocean and gradually drifted back to the water, you cleared your throat, unwilling to lose him again. Sorry, again. He put his hands to his face, rubbing his eyes wearily. Here I go, thinking everything's resolved with what's happened and we can have fun, but I can't just enjoy anything. I have to find something else to get stuck in my head. You're having second thoughts about jet skiing? No, that's not it. The ends of his lips were drawn at the beginning of a frown, like gray clouds clustering in a single coming storm. Figured my dad'd be a little worried about me doing it, but what he was saying, it wasn't what I'd expected. He was so sad, it was more than nervous. I think he feels bad, and now I feel bad, but it isn't as if I'm the only one who ever does something stupid or gets hurt. Yeah, like Marina. All the time. Probably still. It got me thinking about that whole time. That's when I realized it wasn't long after that accident that my parents separated. Yeah, that's what this moment's about, but let me say something first about doing stupid stuff. Like, even now, I don't do it nearly as much, but, like, especially when I was younger, like this age and a little bit older, like college age, I like to climb shit and jump over shit that I shouldn't be trying to, and, like, do stuff all the time. Like, I never did crazy stuff, like tried to ride a jet ski when I was 8, but that's because I'm chicken. But, you know, it's great. Stayed quiet. Hadn't you noticed that before? Well, I kinda did, but not exactly the way I'm seeing it now. As a kid, I didn't think about the consequences of my actions, you know, or how what I did impacted other people, like why I should care. I'm the one doing it, not them. Yeah, so this whole moment is about Cove realizing his jet skiing adventure might have caused his parents' divorce, and then he gets all upset about his parents' divorce. So enjoy this. It made no sense, and I still cared when other people did things like I didn't like, but I was 8 and mostly just mad that nothing felt like it was in my control. You could tell that he was building up to something, so you could nod it for him to continue. It was pretty difficult to deal with because of that. I was pretty difficult to deal with because of that attitude, but looking back, I think that's what saved me from something a lot of kids go through. Blaming themselves to their parents' divorce. Da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, I never had to deal with this. And I haven't known many people who did, honestly. I'm trying to think of anybody I know. I knew people who didn't have both parents, but not because of divorce. And everyone in like my immediate family never did this. They all have strong, kind of bonded families. It never crossed my mind that anything I did made a difference in my mom and dad's relationship. They would do it no matter what. They would do what they did no matter what. Now, though, I guess it's kind of hard to ignore that thought, huh?
I mean,
their situation was already so hard, and I wasn't a good kid, so... He left his words adrift as he looked down. The conclusion unfinished. It was silent between you. But only for a second. Cove pulled himself up to his full height, his chin held aloft. Whatever he decided, he was resolute. I'm going back. I've got to talk to my dad. I'm not going to let things be like they were before, where I just feel crappy and refuse to even tell him what's going on. That doesn't work for either of us. Yeah, this is really good growth for him. And for Cliff, too. You can go ahead if you want. I won't mind. I still really want to do this, and I'm sure it'll be okay. Nah, brah. Like, when I first saw this moment, I was thinking, yeah, the character I'm playing here is probably gonna, like, not do this, because she's not gonna want to get involved in Cole's personal stuff, but the more this plays out, and I think about the fact that Marina and Cove are that close, I think it needs to be, like, right? I think there's no way you're going off on your own. We always look out for each other, remember? Yeah, exactly this. Cove smiled gently, having wanted that deep down. Thanks, let's go. You and Cove retook your steps down the dock once more, heading back to Mr. Holden's scuba shop. The customers you spotted there before were now leaving the store, new bags clutched in their hands. You hoped this would mean Cove could have his conversation without a public audience. This time, Cove strode inside the shop with purpose. Mr. Holden, still at the counter, glanced up to greet whoever had come inside. He grinned as you approached.
How's it going?
Hello again. Forgot something? Sort of. Cove reached the counter now. You needed to rush just to keep up with him as he crossed the show floor. Mr. Holden raised an eyebrow, taking in Cove's shift in attitude, and chose his next words with care. Is everything alright? That's where Cove gets his eye color. I mean, it's where he gets most everything, really. Except the hair. Cove swallowed, not answering initially. talking openly with his dad was still somewhat new for the son. You knew that he was struggling for the right way to begin. I wanted to ask about what happened. Mr. Holden winced as if the words had struck him physically. Oh, this is better. This is the face. I kind of wanted a face like this for it. The accident? No, the divorce. The pained expression fell from Mr. Holden's face. Wide-eyed, his jaw slacked, he gaped at Cove.
Huh?
Cove glanced over his shoulder at you. As your eyes met, you saw him draw confidence by having you by his side. He turned back to his father. I want to know the truth. His tone was grave. Did me getting into the accident hurt your marriage? If I hadn't done it, would you and Mom have gotten along better? No, hell no! The way he says this, I understand why he's saying it to, like, you're not part of the problem, Cove, but it's like, oh, hell no, I wouldn't have gotten along with that woman. Mr. Holden quashed the suggestion with a gravity you'd rarely heard in his voice. You were 8 years old. You're not responsible in any way. Kyra and I should have protected you. I can understand why you're feeling that. What happened was so horrible. How could it not have an impact? It did. It was a reflection of us as parents. The relationship between just your mom and me was separate and already unsalvageable. Cove turned away, his brow still furrowed as he looked at the floor. Maybe I'm being anxious and it's taken over, but I wasn't just then. It wasn't just then. I always caused problems. He plowed on, unwilling to give up without explaining his worries. What if I'd been easier to raise? Or if you had had me later on? Maybe if you didn't have me at all, it might have been better for the two of you. No, that's true. I think you'll see from what they say that might have been true. I think having a kid is what kind of puts strain on their marriage, but he can't blame himself for that. That's not fair to him. If I didn't have you, then what good would my life be? And this is one of the best lines in the entire game. He just straight out says that without, like, needing to explain it. Mr. Holden didn't let the words hang unchallenged in the air for even a second. He hurried over to Cove, taking his son's arms in his hands. Cove, listen. There's only one person to blame for things not working, and that's me. Cove opened his mouth to speak, but Mr. Holden forced on, determined to erase any question in Cove's mind. I'm not saying this to dishonestly push accountability off from someone else or to throw a pity party for myself. You want to know the truth, so that's what I'm giving you. Yeah, so Cliff Holden is such a good character. This is what I would call definitively the one big Cliff Holden moment in the entire game. Like, we had the moment with the $20 bill thing. We did that. He has some other stuff, throughout the game, but this is his one big moment. Like, I feel like every character gets one big moment. And a lot of them come in this section. I feel like Lizzie's big moment is the Shiloh moment. Your father is the reason our family couldn't stay together. You think you caused trouble? You should have seen me at your age. You're such a good kid. I can hardly believe how good you are. Mr. Holden's eyes were misty as he squeezed his son's arms. There's nothing, absolutely nothing you need to blame yourself for. I'm sorry, Cove. To you and to Kyra. Mom? Yeah, your mom. His pained face raised slightly into a bittersweet smile. Kyra, she was just so smart, driven, and completely bursting with life. It was as if she could do anything. You know, there wasn't a single solitary person who didn't want even a piece of her attention, just to catch her eye for a moment. But for some crazy reason, she had a soft spot for my 17-year-old screw-up self. That's when we first met, though it definitely took some time before I managed to ask her out on a date. Mr. Holden shook his head, and his smile melting when recollection became solemn once more. And then we'd only been officially together for about 6 months, and we found out we were having a baby. I was so worried, so scared, but she was so brave. Yeah, these people had a whirlwind romance. Isn't that crazy? I mean, it makes sense, given the two of them. Kyra and her impulsiveness. She was my rock, but we both knew the road ahead was going to be rockier. When we got married, I didn't see it as a dream come true. I wasn't about to start living my life in the only way I could imagine doing so. I thought what happened, and throwing my cards in with a girl like her was worth the risk. He grimaced, the sentence sour in his mouth, regretting his past perspective. I've been taking care of myself on my own and getting by, and then all of a sudden I was gonna have a wife and a child? Yeah. Yeah, man. It's an interesting thought.
That's...
So I thought, alright, I'd better step things up and take care of all of us. And that's what I did, sort of. He rolled his eyes. I made money, kept a roof over our heads, and put food on the table. I like how he says, I made money, not I got a job. That's an interesting dynamic there, especially since we had that last part, that last moment where at the very end he mentions that he was a card shark. He did like gambling and shit for a living, and ran like schemes and stuff. He didn't like work honestly. But I was always busy, focused on taking care of things that I didn't. So I was always busy, focused on taking care of things that I didn't stop to consider what anyone else was thinking or what they actually needed. Yeah, so like, he might have worked like odd jobs and stuff too, I would imagine, but probably never really like a 9-to-5 job, not for Cliff Holden. I made every decision about what I did, and as a result, what happened to the family by myself, never asking what your mom felt or even wondering if she might have an opinion. I tell Kyra about the great place I found and how we'd be moving there in the same breath. Or that I'd spent all our savings and taken out a loan to start this business we're standing in. And even more nonsense. Anything I felt I needed to do, I did. Yeah. Kyra couldn't even ask me where I'd been all day without me rolling my eyes like she was being an egg. I was making sure we didn't starve, obviously, right? Couldn't she trust me? He sighed, his head hung low.
God.
She went to school part-time while raising you, really knuckling down, but that didn't matter to me back then. My mom did that. She went to school part-time while raising me and my brother. My dad worked full-time, so, you know, he had a full-time 9-to-5 job, a good job. So it's not like she was alone, but yeah, it's so crazy to me that my mom did that. She could have spent her days lying in bed, not dying, and I would have felt the same. I didn't care. I was gonna get it all done on my own either way. It's so stupid. I admired her more than anyone when there was nothing at stake, yet as soon as responsibilities were involved, I couldn't let myself rely on her. He combed a hand through his hair, searching for an understanding of his own younger self. You know, I've been through a divorce. And I kinda got like this too, for a while. Like, I kind of had that same mentality. I feel this very strongly. I should talk about that for a minute. I know this is kind of a long video. I'm gonna cut it off pretty soon. But not that I did like gambling or card shark stuff, but I got married young, kind of without thinking. We didn't have a baby, and like, don't get me wrong, my partner wasn't Kyra Priest. She wasn't like this amazing. I mean, she was amazing, but she wasn't like this. She wasn't Kyra Priest, the kind of person I could see Kyra Priest being here. But I felt like it was my responsibility, especially as the male part of the relationship, right? The male gender, the male sex. You're supposed to be the provider. You're supposed to be the one who puts food on the table and money and gets the money. And my ex struggled holding down a job. She had, you know, some other stuff going on in her life that made it difficult for her to do that. And she did for a little while, we were relying on her to do that. But I was so focused on having a job and starting a career and getting what I thought we needed. And I never really asked her about it. Never tried to work with her and talk things through about how we should proceed our lives. That I feel like this sometimes, like in my marriage too. Like, I have these thoughts about if I had talked to her more about what was going on with me, and talked to her more about try to come up with a plan together for our future. She even said something to me one time about how it was hard for her to go back to school because I wasn't supportive enough or something like that. I mean, that wasn't necessarily true, because I was definitely supportive, but... And I can't be responsible for completely motivating the other person in their relationship if they don't want to be motivated too, but that's neither here nor there. That's why my relationship is still different than Cliff's. I can't see Kyra being someone who was completely unmotivated to do anything and struggled with that. I could see Kyra as trying to have a job and do her own thing, and then be stuff too. She's going to school. We're raising a kid, right? I mean, she's doing all this, but I took a very similar stance to Cliff Holden. I didn't have a kid to rely on me and all this then that I had to think about. But that's a lesson I've learned that I would never make again. If any relationship or marriage I ever got back into in the future would definitely be more of a partnership, and always decisions would be together and stuff. And I think that's important. That's my big takeaway here. Because this is about divorce and it's something I know about, I had to talk about it. It wasn't gonna not happen. Anyway. There, I said that. I don't know if I've ever admitted that out loud before, that's a lot of how I feel about the divorce. So, yeah, it's kind of hard not to tear up about this, too. Sorry, I gotta keep going with this so we're not here forever. I'm not even sure why. Maybe I had something to prove. Maybe I'm the one who didn't trust her in the end. Poor Kyra. She had to spend every day mentally weighing the pros and cons of putting up with my horrible ideas for the sake of peace, or trying to explain to my blockheaded self what I was doing wrong. It must have been so stressful and frustrating, constantly having to let everything go because I was stubborn and absolutely wouldn't make a fight out of it. Absolutely would make a fight out of it. Yeah, I didn't like to fight. I was never confrontational. I don't think I would have ever. I took a different tact. I did all this, but I did it all in silence. I suffered in silence and didn't get upset. And I think that's part of what caused the problem, too. It's still a lack of good communication. He snorted bitterly. I was definitely stuck in my head a lot those days. Our relationship at that point was made of arguments and cool tolerance, but I still genuinely didn't see the divorce coming. We made it through the first few years, and after that I never really considered it ending. It's just how life was. In retrospect, it's clear that Kyra kept thinking on it more every year, especially because she managed to finish her journalism degree, and with us being more stable, financially that is, she thought of everything. She even timed it right when your school ended for the year, so the process would hopefully be all settled before you had to worry about class again. Yeah, they get this divorce done pretty quick. I guess if you focus on it and work on it, you can, but it still feels like, to me, it takes forever. But the other person has to be part of it too, so the two of them had to, they were... That's one thing I do feel like, is that they both had Cove's best interest in mind, and that's going to come up here, but no matter what, because they had a kid, they both had that best interest in mind. So anyway, we were already talking about it before the accident even happened. I know I took it really hard, being a sad sack out around the neighborhood, but even that's unfair to me. When it shook out, I'm the one who got everything. Kyra didn't want to leave you, Cove. She never would have. I'm certain she felt like she had no choice but to end the relationship. The business was doing really well by then, so I had an easier time making a living. She was between jobs, and when she did get a new job, it meant that she'd be traveling all the time. Yeah, that's the thing. She has this travel job, right? And he has a stable business. That's why she willingly accepted me having full custody. She didn't get to be there with her child for so many moments, and you had to spend half your life growing up without your mother. It's my fault. Mr. Holden closed his eyes briefly as he took a breath. So that's it, the story of Cliff and Kyra's marriage. Not exactly a fairy tale, but I want to be clear. He saw his grip of Cove's arms tighten. No matter what happened with me and her, I never ever want to miss out on being your dad. We'll see you next time.